Well, my friends, I couldn't sleep last night, so all this morning I was grumpy, I was cranky, I thought my day can't get any worse, but then I turned on the TV and Dylan Mulvaney was on The View promoting a book. Well, it's nice Dylan Mulvaney has taken a break from tanking beverage companies. Why do you need to release a memoir? Okay, we're about the same age, you're under 30 years old. What have you done? Unless you're Anne Frank or Malala, that girl who got shot coming home from school, unless you've had a harrowing experience, we don't need a memoir from you, child. Dylan Mulvaney releasing a memoir is like Snooki from the Jersey Shore when she was 22 putting out Confessions of a Guidette. All she did was party at the shore all summer, but that was probably more interesting than Dylan Mulvaney's book. No, I will say silver lining here, my friends. Dylan Mulvaney going on The View to promote the book is probably a perfect venue because Dylan looks like more of a woman than anyone else on the panel. I just found out that Whoopi Goldberg is not trans. Whoopi Goldberg, if they ever do a remake of Sister Act, it'll have to be non-binary act or them act or their act because Whoopi Goldberg, she's not looking like a sister. Now, Whoopi Goldberg, whose brain has been rotted by Trump derangement syndrome, she went on this tirade about why men should be allowed in women's sports. It was absolutely ridiculous. Take a look, and then we can discuss.
When you come in and you say, oh, these are men,
competing
against women, you're assuming that the women are weak and just can't do anything except be here. Have you seen female athletes? They know what they're doing. So I'm not sure what's going on or why this is an issue.
Even Dylan Mulvaney looked a little bit confused by what Whoopi Goldberg was saying. Whoopi Goldberg trying to make an intellectual argument is like taking driver's ed from Helen Keller. It's something you don't want to see. Now, Dylan Mulvaney, of course, does not condemn men and women's sports. Dylan thinks it's okay for young children to have transgender surgeries or hormone treatments. None of us living in reality with common sense think this is okay. These are actually 80-20 issues, but Dylan Mulvaney, of course, is going to be on the wrong side of history on that one. Now, Dylan Mulvaney's new book is titled Paper Doll, Notes from a Late Bloomer, and Paper Doll implies that Dylan Mulvaney is flimsy or weak or a victim. Let me just tell you, Dylan Mulvaney is an actor, okay? Dylan Mulvaney is phony. Dylan Mulvaney tried to hack it in every single other arena. When that did not bring Dylan fame or notoriety, Dylan said, you know what? I'm gonna do the Days of Girlhood series. And when that worked, Dylan Mulvaney ran with it. Now, because I guess this is what Disney and ABC want to promote to the world, Dylan Mulvaney on the show talked about joy. It was like Kamala Harris or Meghan Markle who are all about joy. How come these people who promote joy are the least joyful of all? What's also sad about The View is that they would rather praise and kiss Dylan Mulvaney's ass instead of having real women with real stories on this show. What about Peyton McNabb? What about Riley Gaines? What about Laken Riley's family? What about telling some of those stories on The View? But instead, they're going to roll out the red carpet for Dylan Mulvaney, who's done nothing. I would actually respect The View a little bit if they would push back on these guests. Alyssa Farah Griffin, who's the phony, pretend Republican at the panel, she would not even call Dylan Mulvaney out for promoting men and women's sports or trans surgeries for minors. Now, many of you are new to my page, but some of you have been with me for years when I started out on TikTok. And when I started out, I covered Dylan Mulvaney's Bud Light story extensively. I am someone who calls it like I see it. At the beginning of the Bud Light scandal, I was praised by Republicans, independents, and Democrats for my fair coverage of the situation. I said, you know what? Bud Light, they're the ones who strayed from their core competencies. They're the ones who wrote the check to Dylan Mulvaney. Dylan Mulvaney should not be blamed for what happened with Bud Light. Dylan Mulvaney was just collecting a check. So while I was fair on the Bud Light scandal and spoke the truth, Dylan Mulvaney should not be blamed for this company losing a large chunk of its market cap. Dylan Mulvaney has made a mockery of being a woman. My issue with Dylan Mulvaney is also this. Dylan Mulvaney has pushed gender and trans ideology on millions of impressionable young people for years to enrich himself with fame and fortune. So Dylan Mulvaney, who became rich and famous just for putting on a dress and a wig, now wants to come around and be the victim. I'm a victim. I got so much hate, online hate from these extremists. No, extremists weren't the ones attacking you, okay? Common sense Americans were the ones saying, you know what? You're making a mockery of the female experience. Dylan Mulvaney was posting these ridiculous, bizarre videos saying, it's day 14 of girlhood. I wrote an angry email. I chipped a nail. I'm really a woman now. Those videos made a mockery. I was raised by a strong woman. That is not what it takes to be a strong woman. And when it comes to being a victim, we've seen this with Blake Lively, Meghan Markle, Dylan Mulvaney, and Hollywood. If you are a victim, you can get fame and fortune and continue your career. It is a great brand to be a victim. But receiving fair criticism and critique when you are a major figure on the national stage does not make you a victim, okay? When you're making millions of dollars, when you're on a press tour promoting a book, people are allowed to discuss you. They're allowed to call you out. They're allowed to agree. They're allowed to disagree. That does not make you a victim. And when it comes to Dylan Mulvaney is a fully formed adult. If Dylan Mulvaney wants to put on a dress and a wig and say he's a woman, go for it. Live your life. Come one, come all to the Halloween ball. The only issue people have is when you push it on children or you want men in women's locker rooms, and these are 80-20 issues. So while I wish you well, Dylan Mulvaney, bless your heart. You need to go back to the drawing board and figure out what your narrative actually is. If you're gonna be a victim, that is not borne out in reality. All right, my friends, thanks for liking and following. Drop a comment. Tell me what you think about Dylan Mulvaney. Like I always say, I welcome folks on the left, the right, the middle, all across the political spectrum on my page. You can agree with me. You can disagree with me. I'm not going to cry and say I'm a victim because I'm an adult who can have tough conversations. I will see you on the next one. Bye.